Let me just start off this video by saying that HHN was phenomenal. Don't worry, I'll go into more detail throughout the video, but it was actually fantastic. For those of you who don't know, I just got back from Universal Orlando a couple days ago and went to both nights of HHN's opening weekend. I'm already missing the event, and I know the best way to deal with that feeling is to make a video on it. I know lots of people already have videos covering the event, including me, but I want to make a video reviewing and ranking every house. So what are we waiting for?
It's showtime.
I had the opportunity to do houses multiple times, so I feel like I have a good idea of how they rank. However, this list is bound to change. Let's start off with my lowest house, Beetlejuice. While this house was beautifully designed, it felt like a fun house. I do give it praise for the set design, but that is something that all of these excel at. I enjoy this house quite a bit, but there are barely any scares in it. I get that they wanted to have some variety of houses, but I expect to get hit with scares during Halloween Horror Nights, and this house just didn't have that many. Next up, we have Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. This house was technically at HHN Light last year, and it was really well done. But that's where it falters in comparison to the other houses besides a couple. We've already seen this house. But the story is still very solid, and there are a couple good scares in here. But I honestly like the stories of the other houses more. That, combined with the fact that we've already had this house technically, makes it land at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is the Bride of Frankenstein Lives. Like Tooth Fairy, this one just ranks lower for me because we've seen it before. In fact, we've seen all of these houses listed so far before, but this house is still really good. The theming and storytelling are awesome. Speaking of the story, it is technically a sequel to the film, starting off with the bride sobbing over the monster's death. This would rank higher for me if it was a brand new original house. Also, the lineup is just so good this year that this is that low. It's nothing against this house, just everything else is so good. Good news, now on to the new houses. At number 7, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This house was very well detailed and executed extremely well, but I'll be completely honest. It didn't do much for me compared to the other houses. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot actually, but I just liked the other houses more. That's not to say that this is a bad house by any means. The detail is phenomenal in this house, especially with the facade. I did like the original story a lot too. I went in expecting it just to be a retelling of the movie, but it was an original story. Also, if you are a Leatherface fan, you will love this house. I'm just saying that. We have Scary coming in next. I initially had this house ranked higher, but I moved a couple above this due to reruns of the houses on my second night. This almost acts as a best hits of Scary Ohio, as it focuses on the overall town rather than just one location in it. While this sounds like a good idea, I think it could have been executed better. Regardless, the set design was great, and there are a couple really good scares in here. However, I feel like it was just missing something. I can't determine exactly what that thing actually is, but something didn't hit right. Maybe in a few weeks when I go back, this will rank higher for me, but as of now, I feel like this is a good spot for it. Okay, now this is where the rankings get really tough. All of these following houses are an A in my book, but this is a ranking video, so the show must go on. Speaking of show, Puppet Theater is next at number 5. This was initially lower than Scary for me, but that was because I had a very bad run on it in my first run through. It was flooded on my first run too, so that definitely affected it, although the 5-minute wait was very nice. Several scares were non-existent, and the house just felt like it was missing something, but my second run through was absolutely phenomenal. Let's start off with the facade. This might be one of the most beautiful facades I have ever seen. Going inside, the detail is still there. Puppets are everywhere, giving you a very creepy atmosphere, along with plenty of scares. The overall environment is eerie as well, and this just makes you feel fully immersed in the story. This ties in perfectly with the story, which entails a building collapsing in an earthquake, trapping everyone inside, including the tropes and the patrons. The trope eventually went mad, mutilating the patrons and transforming them into puppets. So yeah, this is a fantastic, creepy house, but there are still a few that I just like more. Hill House is coming in at number 4 for me. This is probably one of the strongest IP houses I could think of. Let's start when you walk in with the facade. Oh my gosh. The facade of this house is gorgeous. Once you get in, the details don't stop at all. The scares are all on point. There are recognizable characters from the show that make several appearances and much more. There are lots of cool effects in the house, such as Nell hanging on either side of a hallway, along with the tall man at the end of the house. This is just straight up impressive. I will say though, if you haven't seen the show, it will probably rank lower for you. However, as a big fan of the show, it exceeded my expectations. Wicked Growth is coming in at number 3 for me. This may be controversial because I know lots of people consider this to be the best house of the event. Don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoyed this house. It is phenomenal. I can't see anything wrong with it. The only thing is I like the next two even more. Like, I can't think of anything this house didn't do well. I love the entrance with all the pumpkins. The scares were extremely well executed in creative ways, and the set design was stunning. You can see the house getting progressively more demented as you encounter witches, pumpkins, and lots of other scare actors. All of this cultivates into the grand finale with the Pumpkin Lord himself. Case Files is the runner-up for Best House. This is honestly the sleeper house of the event in my opinion. The house is located in the Shrek building and it is immaculate. Shrek houses have officially been redeemed, ladies and gentlemen. When you walk into the building, you see the current investigation into Boris Schuster's work proceeding, and the dialogue transitions with the scene change when you step back in time. Speaking of the story is just incredible for a Horror Nights house. You get to walk into lots of iconic areas that are in Universal itself, such as Boris's office and the Kitty Cat Club across the street. You literally go through Schuster's old investigations, and this gives a very wide variety of sets and characters. Speaking of characters, the scares are also very well done, resulting in an insane immersive house. I don't want to spoil any more than that. Just go to Horror Nights and experience it. That is the best way to do it. It's that good of a house. Alright, we have arrived at number 1. You should easily know what this house is. It is HHN Icons Captured, of course. This house truly has everything: set design, scares, and story. However, there is one more factor that plays to its advantage, and that is nostalgia. This is pretty much the dream house for a major Halloween Horror Nights fan's crazy mind. Each icon has their own dedicated section of the house with insanely detailed theming. I especially love the transition from the director to the usher. But the room I love the most has to be the finale with the throne, because it actually changes based on when you go through. That's right, the icon in the throne changes, and it is a dream to see all the icons in one house together. Yeah, you simply cannot beat this house. It is easily my number 1 pick. I already made a video showing off the different scare zones, but I am not done with HHN. The Halloween season is just getting started, and we are taking full advantage of it. My main goal is to hit up HHN for at least one other weekend, along with a possible night at Hallow Scream. But besides that, we are starting a new channel called Fistful of Terror, where we go and investigate a bunch of paranormal sites for the Halloween season. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and make sure to go check out Fistful of Terror when we finally launch it. Thank you for watching, everyone, and I hope to catch you down at Halloween Horror Nights.